Hi everyone, welcome back. So we are reacting to a artist called Ritenour. Ritenour sounds French. And this was requested by Gerald. So thank you so much, Gerald. And the song is called A Fantasy. Now I've never heard of this artist before. And this was released in 1982 as well. So let's go for it. Wow. Wow, that was so different. Thank you so much, Gerald, for requesting this, because wow, what a beautiful instrumental. Yeah, it was just so like, it really heightened the senses. As soon as it started, I was like, wow, there's so many sort of like elements when you're listening to it of like, it's all, I always say, I call it this sort of waterfall feeling of like, there's just a lot sort of everywhere, and it's just like, but then there was this melody that was kind of continuing it throughout with the guitar, and it was just giving this like beautiful, let me just go back to the beginning of this. It's so synthy as well, like a lot of synth, whatever instrument it is, it's a synth, right? And it kind of sets the scene of it being like, wow. It's so beautiful. It's very sort of like, it's mixing the elements of the modern kind of 80s of when they started to use more synths in their music and stuff, and then mixing it with the kind of folk country sort of, the folk country tones there, and then they added sort of percussion towards the end. It was like a very much a song, like instrumental, that was making me feel, it was making, I don't really know, what's it called? It's called a fantasy. Yeah, and the even the art, like the cover art here, is quite sort of modern, because it's like almost like this geometry type of architectural kind of structure here. So I don't know, for me it's like the sort of dichotomy or the mix or the contradiction or whatever you want to call it of the modern and the traditional. And it's called a fantasy. It's interesting. I mean, I feel like instrumentals are one of those things that, or are one of those areas of music where you can easily sort of put your interpretation on it, because there is no words. There's no words sort of forcing you into a particular direction of where to go. Obviously, there's the title of the song that could potentially give a hint. And I don't know, it's giving this sort of like, and like the guitar is sort of that midpoint between the synthy sound, because it does sound like an electric guitar, but it's also adding that acoustic feel to it. And then you've got those percussion, the drums and stuff, percussion instruments. It was a mix of a modern folk and like the modern and folk, sorry, and I really loved it. And then you got the violin, and then oh, that shift was so nice. It's really sort of like, it's very calming and very, it's called a fantasy, and it's just very calming, but it's also very modern at the same time. And it's kind of like this sort of, it's almost like creating like this piece between the modern and traditional elements and bringing it together and creating this sort of like harmonious vibe between the two. And it's almost called the fantasy, a fantasy. It's like, is that a fantasy that these two worlds can merge? I don't know. It's interesting. It's one of those, that's what I love about instrumentals. It forces me to dive deeper and kind of understand what is being said or what is trying to be communicated. So I'm going to have a little look at the context of this, because I'm really interested. I'm actually just really interested in this. Upbeat. I guess you could call it upbeat for jazz. Smooth jazz track by American guitarist Ritenour. It was released in '82. And features longtime collaborator Egg Tag on vocals. Really? Did I miss this? There's no vocals. Yeah, I think they've got that wrong there, because there's no vocalists in the song. What's the vocalist guy? What is his? Eric Tag. Yeah, I'm not seeing his name anywhere here. I think they've got that wrong. But So Ritenour was already a highly sought after session guitarist, having played on estimate of 3,000 records. Wow. Recordings. He shifted his focus heavily into solo work, crafting the bright, highly produced jazz fusion. Yeah, it's very few. It's. I don't know. I guess I don't know if I would have called it jazz. I mean, comment down below what you think. I mean, Gerald, what's your interpretation of this as well in terms of meaning, in terms of like the genre? Because I wasn't really getting jazz. I mean, unless it is. I mean, jazz is quite a broad genre anyways, isn't it? So that's interesting. So jazz fusion sound that defined the early to mid 80s. Collaborators. A Fantasy was co-produced by Ritenour and Harvey Mason. The album utilised a massive roster of legendary studio musicians such as David Foster, Nathan East, Jeff Porcaro. I'm confused because it's saying, I just don't know where the vocals are, unless I'm really deaf, guys, and I don't think I am. To be fair, it is jazz actually. It is jazz. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It is jazz. I feel like my mind now, having listened to so much music on the channel, I'm like, what genre is it? Because it's mixing so many different things. But yeah, I would say, yeah, fusion of those kind of traditional elements with the synth elements of the 80s, of that modern sort of sound. But then now, yeah, listening to it again, I'm like, yeah, actually it is quite jazzy. And quite upbeat for jazz as well. I love it, but I don't think there's vocals in here, so I'm not sure what that AI overview is talking about. But I just really loved it. I loved the chillness of it. It's a really great song for like a road trip. And there's just a lot of elements. I really love the shifts that happen in the song as well. Like I said, like when it shifts to the main melody, and I love how the guitar is very like, it's very calming. Yeah, like everything's sort of upbeat, you could say. And it's just this sort of lovely melody and solo guitar from him. And it just adds this like, it's groovy, but in a really like nonchalant way, if you can say that. And that's what I really like about this. I just think it's sick. Ooh. And then this. Because this start of the song, it's definitely jazz fusion, because this part of the song, the start of the song, it's not giving very jazz. It's giving more sort of, is it rock? Like, can you call it rock? It's got rock elements in it anyways. And then with that, that's very, and that's with the acoustic guitar. It's very like, mixing, like I said, the modern instruments into the more, I guess, synth. I love the beginning. And then you've got the sort of the violins in the background. I think they probably played in with the keys. You can play them in. And I just love that. It adds such an ambience to it. Down, down. Oh, yeah. And it picks up. Percussion. And then the tone of it kind of then becomes more jazzy. It kind of becomes more light and like, yeah, now that it's called a fantasy, I almost hear these like elements of sort of like the kind of main melody that you hear with the guitar, obviously that's Lee playing it in, and you can feel this sort of pain, this sort of like longing, and like it's giving this longing thing. It's really sort of longing and like very deep of a feeling, and sort of that's what's giving me the lead. And then you've got the obviously less upbeat than that, and then sort of the lighter elements, which are kind of making it feel almost like there's this sort of seriousness going on, but then there's these like lighter elements around it, sort of that fantasy of like throughout this kind of pain there's this sort of hope for this lighter energy. I mean, like I said, instruments can just be interpreted as whatever, can't they? I don't know. Let's have a little look. Meaning, like what is this like? West Coast pop. The song's content revolves around using daydreaming and escapism as a coping mechanism against harsh and tragic reality, ultimately seeking the peace and joy that a lover's presence brings. Oh, okay. But that's crazy how I picked up on that. Obviously the song's called Fantasy, so it kind of forces you to sort of, I guess, fantasy in a way sort of is self-explanatory, because it's like a fantasy. What's a fantasy? What makes a fantasy is the non-fantasy part of it, if that makes sense. So that sort of contrast is interesting that I picked up on that. But yeah, that sort of harsh tragic reality and that feeling, that seeking of peace is definitely shown or felt, for me at least, in the guitar solo, in the voice of the person whose song it is, which is Lee. And that's his voice. That's what he uses to express is the guitar. It's just like saxophonists, that's their voice in the song if they don't sing, you know. So I love that. So the fantasy in the song represents an idealized perfect mental sanctuary where heartbreak and difficult realities do not exist. The paradox of fantasy. The track explores how beautiful positive illusions can act as a mirage of safety. So I don't know if this is actually like what has been said by Lee about this, but it's definitely giving a perspective that I picked up on. So, you know, that's interesting to see and to read, to be honest. So it's a prime example of early 80s West Coast. Never eat shit. Oh, so that's like California. Sorry. Never eat shredded wheat. Okay, yeah. So that's like West Coast is Cali, California, and whatever else is on the coast, on the West Coast. So 80s West Coast adult contemporary marked by lush chords, soulful vocals, and a smooth cinematic groove. Where are the vocals? Guys, I'm confused. Like, where are the actual vocals on this? Like, where? Guys, I don't know why it keeps saying vocals. Like, Gerald, if there's a reason for that, tell me, because, and am I just not hearing the vocals? I don't think so, but I don't know why they keep saying that. But it's lush chords and a smooth cinematic groove intended to transport the listener to an exotic, relaxing environment. Definitely. I love that I picked up on that. And it definitely made me feel very relaxed, very calm. And I get the whole West Coast vibe now. I understand that, and I see that actually with it. Yeah, it's really nice. Thank you so much for requesting this, Gerald. I do love listening to instrumentals as well. Yeah, and hearing the arrangement of the instruments and the way that they choose to do certain things with the instruments and the arrangement. And like I said, yeah, I just really enjoy it. So thank you so much for requesting. If anybody else does have a request for an instrumental or for any other song, there is a link in the description to send those through. I also have a Patreon now as well, where it's basically a space where I share exclusive content about my own journey, more reaction videos, and sort of deeper discussions. So if that's something that interests you, feel free to follow the link in the description as well. But thank you to Gerald for requesting, and thank you to everybody watching. Bye.